Good evening. Thank you to those for braving the heat and attending the Connecticut Department of Transportation public hearing for the proposed rail fare changes in 2025 and 2026. My name is Dan Baker. I'm a supervising planner with the Connecticut DOT Bureau of Public Transportation. I will be moderating tonight's public hearing. Tonight's hearing will include a 15-minute presentation on the proposed rail fare changes as well as the department's fare equity analysis of the proposed changes. Following the presentation, we will open up the hearing to comments from members of the public. We currently have 2 individuals registered to speak this evening, although they are currently not present. They will be called by name if you have registered, and you'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments with the panelists. Panelists joining us this evening from the Connecticut Department of Transportation include Bureau Chief of Public Transportation Ben Limmer and Assistant Rail Administrator Caroline Kiltica. Spanish-speaking interpreters are available to assist any members of the public looking to provide comment during the hearing. At this time, I will turn it over to Bureau Chief Ben Limmer for opening remarks.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dan. Thank you all once again for coming out. Such a hot evening. And of course, thank you for coming to tonight's public hearing to talk about proposed rail fare increases on the railroad network throughout our state. One proposed for September of 2025, and then a second increase for July of 2026. Your input is incredibly valuable and will be absolutely critically important to make sure that we can continue to provide a safe, reliable rail transit system throughout the state. All comments received during the hearing and throughout the entire process of getting input from stakeholders as well as customers will be recorded, carefully reviewed as we finalize whatever the final fare change is going to be. Earlier this month, the state legislature adopted a biennial budget that was signed by the governor. The bipartisan budget included funding levels for rail services that accounted for a 5% increase to rail fares on all rail lines in both fiscal years 26 and 27. Fares are a critical source of revenue for us as we look to fund the day-to-day operations of the rail service. And of course, our goal is to really keep the service levels as they are, so maintaining overall service levels. So thank you for coming, and I believe I'm passing it back to Dan.
Thank you, Ben. So we'll begin the presentation. I'm going to hand it over to Sam Savadu, Transportation Planner with the Connecticut Department of Transportation.
Thank you, Dan. Again, welcome everyone to the Connecticut Department of Transportation public hearing for the proposed rail fare changes. We will cover the following this evening. We'll start off with Title VI information, then translations and hearing recordings, followed by service and fare equity analysis process overview, proposed rail fare changes. We'll review the fare equity analysis, then the public comment period, and lastly, we'll provide the opportunity for members of the public to provide a formal public comment. Next slide, please. Some housekeeping notes. Please sign in at the registration table if you have not had a chance already. We have informational flyers over here on this table available in both English and Spanish. There's no Q&A during this portion of the public hearing. To sign up to provide a formal public comment, you can do so at the registration table. And as a reminder, each member of the public will have 3 minutes to provide public comment. Next slide. The Connecticut Department of Transportation is committed to ensuring that no person is excluded from participation, denied benefits, or otherwise subjected to discrimination under any program or activity on the basis of race, color, or national origin. Please visit the following webpage for more information on our Title VI program and your rights under Title VI. We also encourage you to complete the voluntary feedback survey, also available at the table there. Survey information helps the department conduct the most inclusive and representative outreach possible. Survey responses are anonymous and will be used strictly to achieve this goal. Esta encuesta también está disponible en español. To take the survey, you may scan the QR code, or there are paper copies available at the registration table. Next slide. For more information about our Title VI program and how to file a complaint, please reference our Title VI notice on the screen. This information can also be found on our Title VI webpage. Next slide. And here's the same Title VI information in Spanish. Para más información sobre el Programa de Derechos Civiles de CTDOT y el proceso de presentar una queja, comuníquese con la coordinadora del Título 6 de CTDOT al siguiente número de teléfono o en la página web. Next slide. After the public hearings, the presentation slides will be available on the state webpage. Please visit ct.gov/dot/proposed transit changes for additional information. Next slide. In accordance with the Title VI of Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Federal Transit Administration Circular 4702.1b, CTDOT conducts an equity analysis of proposed fare changes or major service changes to determine if the changes will have a disparate impact on minority customers or a disproportionate burden on low-income customers. CTDOT is required to analyze major service changes that are expected to continue beyond 12 months and any fare changes beyond 6 months. Next slide. According to the CTDOT Title VI program, a fare equity analysis will be conducted whenever CTDOT proposes a fare change, regardless of the amount of increase or decrease. A fare change is defined as an increase or decrease in fares on the entire system, on certain transit modes, or by fare payment type or fare media. Next slide. This is an overview of the process we follow for the fare equity analysis. We are currently in the public hearing stage. The public comment period began on June 6, 2025, and will run through July 6, 2025. At the conclusion of the public comment period, all public comments will be considered by the department in the finalization of the equity analysis. Next slide. All fare changes are analyzed to determine whether the proposed changes will have a disparate impact or disproportionate burden. Disparate impact means a policy or practice that disproportionately affects members of a group identified by race, color, or national origin. Disproportionate burden means a policy or practice that disproportionately affects low-income populations. I will now pass it on to Dan Baker to provide an overview of the proposed rail fare changes.
Thank you, Sam. Connecticut DOT proposes increasing fares for Shoreline East, Hartford Line, and Metro North New Haven Line services in Connecticut, including the New Canaan, Danbury, and Waterbury branch lines. Fares are a critical source of revenue to Connecticut DOT and its service providers' ability to operate a safe and reliable transportation system while maintaining existing service levels and helping support rising costs. The targeted increases for all lines are 5% in September 2025 and an additional 5% in July 2026. As a result of rounding to the nearest 25 cents for each fare, the actual percentage to a specific ticket type for start and end stations may vary. The average changes in fare by line and by year are shown on this slide and are all approximately 5%. As a reminder, fares represent only a portion of the total costs needed to operate rail service in Connecticut. For example, for all Metro North lines in 2024, fare revenue accounted for approximately 30% of total costs to operate the service. The difference is made up with other revenue sources and subsidies. Rising costs means that revenues also need to be periodically increased. Rail fares in Connecticut were last increased by approximately 4.5% in August 2023 on Hartford Line, Shoreline East, and the New Haven Line. Previous to this, rail fares had not increased since 2018. With the proposed fare increase in September 2025 and July 2026, the increase in rail fare since 2018 will be less than inflation throughout that same period. Inflation has driven consumer prices up by approximately 28%, while by 2026, rail fares will have increased between 14 and 15%. Next slide. Fares paid by customers are dependent on the ticket type purchased and the specific start and end stations of the journey. And as a result of rounding, as mentioned previously, the fares may vary in the percentage increases. This slide demonstrates what Connecticut Rail Hartford Line customers could expect to pay with the proposed increases. For example, a one-way ticket between Hartford and New Haven would be increasing from the current $8.25 to $8.75 in September 2025 and to $9.25 in July 2026. A monthly pass between those two stations would increase from $173.25 today to $182 in September 2025 and $191 in July 2026. We included additional station pairs such as Meriden to New Haven and Meriden to Hartford for other examples and context of the proposed increases. Next slide, please. Likewise, this slide demonstrates what Shoreline East customers could expect to pay with the proposed increases. A one-way ticket between New London and New Haven would be increasing from $10.75 to $11.25 in September 2025 and to $11.75 in July 2026. Monthly passes would increase from $225.75 today to $237 in September 2025 and $248.75 in July 2026. Additional examples of other origin destinations are also included on this slide. Next slide. And finally, this slide demonstrates what Metro North Railroad New Haven Line customers could expect to pay. A one-way peak ticket between Stamford and Grand Central would be increasing from the current $16 to $17 in September and to $17.75 in July 2026. A monthly pass would increase from the current $315 to $334.75 in September 2025 and $349.50 in July 2026. Next slide. During the Title VI equity analysis, rail lines were analyzed individually as well as in combination. When combined, the equity analysis results show that for minority customers, the average change in fare for all rail lines would be 5.12% in 2025 and 4.89% in 2026. For low-income customers, the average change would be 5.09% in 2025 and 5.0% in 2026. When compared to all customers, the differences for both minority customers and low-income customers are within 0.2 percentage points, which is well below the 5% disparate impact or disproportionate burden threshold. We found that the proposed fare increases for 2025 and 2026 for the Hartford Line, Shoreline East, and New Haven Line do not have a disparate impact on minority customers, nor a disproportionate burden on low-income customers, whether analyzed individually or in aggregate. Full details of the equity analysis can be found in the draft equity analysis report available online. Next slide. Comments regarding the proposed fare changes and equity analysis can be made in a variety of ways. One of those ways is by making a public statement during tonight's public hearing. As mentioned previously, if you did not register and would like to provide your comment to the panelists, you'll still be able to sign up at the end of this presentation shortly. Additional methods include submitting a comment via email at dot.proposedtransitchanges@ct.gov. You can also comment by leaving a voicemail at 860-594-3612. You can also comment by mail by submitting mail to the address on the screen, and all comments will be accepted up until 11:59 p.m. on July 6, 2025. Next slide. 4 public hearings were scheduled to receive public comments on these proposed rail fare changes. These include 2 in-person hearings, including this one this evening, as well as 2 virtual hearings scheduled for next week. Virtual hearings via Zoom will be held on Monday, June 30th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., and Tuesday, July 1st, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Department staff will also be at various rail stations this week. Tomorrow, Wednesday, June 25th, from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., staff will be at the New London station to speak with customers. And on Thursday, June 26th, from 2 to 5 p.m., staff will also be at Hartford Union Station. Thank you for listening to tonight's presentation. We will now be transitioning to the public comment portion of this hearing. Speakers who have been pre-registered will be called by name. We will take a brief break to relocate the podium for members of the public to the center, and then we will resume the public comment portion. Thank you. Okay, the time is 5:46 p.m. We will begin the public comment portion of tonight's hearing. We have 3 individuals who have pre-registered, but I don't see any of them in attendance here, but we will call their names just in case. The first individual registered to speak this evening is Dimitri Kutambas. Dimitri? All right. The second individual, Bobby Berald. Bobby Berald. All right. The third, Aaron Eiffel. Is Aaron Eiffel here? Okay. At this time, we have no other individuals registered to speak. The time is 5:47 p.m. We'll pause the public hearing. We will reopen tonight's hearing if additional members of the public show up and sign in to speak at the table. Thank you. Okay, good evening. The time is 6:22 p.m. We're going to reopen the public comment portion of tonight's hearing. We have one individual registered to provide comment to the panelists from the Connecticut Department of Transportation, Chris Irby.
Hey, hello, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, yep.
All right, with the hike, like I was talking to the other members that we have in here about the hike, I truly believe it's going to affect residents of Bridgeport, Connecticut. I know that, living years of Bridgeport, that is a struggle for people to get money for the proper fare. And I just know, because I always use the rail line and living in the urban community, it does affect them. Bridgeport is not it's not a business city just like how New Haven is. Everybody has to take the train to go to other towns like Norwalk, Stanford, to go to work. And that's what I was just trying to bring to your attention. I see that as an inflate, but what's to accommodate? And I don't think this is a good, time to inflate prices. I think we need to think this over. I also have 8 years in Department of Transportation and hauling oil, gasoline. I'm a hazmat worker. And I'm changing my career to help out, people that don't know what's really going on and just bring awareness to them. And that's who I'm standing by. So I just would like also, as he said, that they post flyers everywhere. I did not see those flyers. I just know from the local public officials here in New Haven about this meeting and event. I understand, like I told them, that you guys don't advertise these meetings like McDonald's does cheeseburgers. I would like for people to have this meeting alert more posted downtown New Haven area. I would like to see your presence more out there. And some simple things that I asked. And I really appreciate your guys' time. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris, for coming out in the heat. Appreciate it.
All right.
Okay. So we have no more registered speakers this evening, so we'll pause the hearing at 6:24 p.m. If anyone new shows up this evening, we're here till 7:30 p.m., but we'll pause the hearing at 6:24 p.m. Thank you. Okay, the time is now 7:29 p.m. We'll reopen tonight's public hearing. Thank you to the members of the public who came out this evening to learn about the proposed changes during the open house, as well as provide public comment to the panelists here from the Connecticut Department of Transportation. We'd like to thank those members of the public. And as a reminder, we'll be out at various rail stations this week. New London tomorrow between 3 and 6, Hartford on Thursday between 2 and 5 p.m., and there will be 2 additional virtual public hearings on Monday, June 30th from 7 to 9 p.m. and Tuesday, July 1st from noon to 2 p.m. So we're approaching 7:30 p.m. We'll be closing tonight's public hearing. Thank you. All right, thanks.